Good afternoon, everyone. So today, we're going to tackle about the Rizal education in the University of Santo Tomas. But first, let me introduce myself. So my name is Michelle Ann V. Langit from BS Ed 2G. Rizal, education in the University of Santo Tomas. Knowing that his son was endowed with outstanding intelligence after graduating from the Ateneo de Manila, Rizal's father, Don Francisco, made the decision to send him to Manila for further studies. Teodora had seen what happened to smart young Filipinos who questioned the Spanish authority in the Philippines. Doña Teodora was cautious. She was outspoken in her criticism of Don Francisco's choice. Nevertheless, Rizal's father was sure that his son, whose intelligence was among the best at the time, had a bright future ahead of him. Fortunately, the tragic first romance of Rizal, with its bitter disillusionment, had no negative effects on his academic performance at the University of Santo Tomas. Even his mother disagreed with his intention to enroll at UST for higher study because she thought that Rizal would become a popular target for the Spaniards if he gained too much information. However, his love for education turned out to be stronger than his love for a beautiful girl. Rizal matriculated at the University of Santo Tomas in April of 1877. He was almost 16 years old, enrolling in philosophy and letters. He has two reasons for enrolling in this course. His dad approved of it, or his dad likes it, and the second one, he wasn't sure what profession he wanted to pursue yet. Father Pablo Ramon, the rector of Ateneo, who had been kind to him when he was a student there, had received a letter from him asking for assistance on his choice of employment or his course. A letter between Manila and Mindanao took several months to travel in those days since the father rector was in Mindanao. Jose Rizal returned to Manila in April 7, year 1877 and registered at the UST, taking the course Philosophy and Letters, but he was still unsure of what to study at the time. He also studied cosmology, metaphysics, theodicy, and history of philosophy, were his first year courses. The following year, Rizal sought advice from Rev. As to what to do. Pablo Ramon, the director of the Ateneo de Manila, advised. Father Ramon recommended to him to pursue medicine, so he enrolled in the medical program in the hopes that once he completed the ophthalmology course, he would be able to help Doña Teodora, who was losing her vision. As a result, he studied the first following subjects during his first year, in 1877 to 1879 at the UST. First, cosmology, next, metaphysics, third, theodicy, and the last one is history of philosophy. Rizal took time off from studying medicine to pursue his interest in surveying. He spent a year at the Ateneo de Manila finishing the course because he was so interested in it. Rizal excelled in surveying and received honors in topography and agriculture-related disciplines at the age of 17. He passed the course's final test in 1878. Unfortunately, his young age prevented him from receiving the championship. Rizal began studying medicine the following academic year, in 1878 to 1879, enrolling concurrently in the preparatory medical course and the normal first-year medical course. He chose to study medicine for two reasons. First, he wanted to become a doctor so that he could treat his mother's failing vision. And second, Father Pablo Ramon, director of the Ateneo, who he consulted about a career choice eventually, he replied to his letter and suggested medicine. Rizal first encountered Spanish violence when a first-year medical student at the University of Santo Tomas during his summer vacation in 1880. He was out of the town on one dark night. As he passed him, he vaguely noticed a man's figure. He didn't salute or offer a polite good evening because he didn't know the individual because of the darkness. The hazy figure was a Guardia Civil lieutenant. He snarled, turned to face Rizal, pulled out a sword, and sliced the latter viciously across the back. After a long, grueling semester as a medical student at UST, Rizal was used to spending time with his family by returning home to Calamba for the holidays. Rizal did not bow, salute, or acknowledge the member of the Spanish civil guard who passed by his side one night in 1878 as he was traveling alone down a dark street. The civil guard or Guardia Civil lashed Rizal viciously with a dry stingray tail from within striking distance, or what we call in Tagalog buntot pagi. He endured pain from wounds on his back for 2 weeks before they were fully healed. Although the cut was not serious, it hurt. After he had recovered, Rizal told General Primo de Rivera, the Spanish Governor-General of the Philippines at the time, about the occurrence. However, since he was an Indian and the rude officer was a Spaniard, nothing came of his complaint. He explained, "I went to the Captain General but I could not obtain any justice. My wound lasted 2 weeks." In a letter to Blumentritt dated March 21, 1887. Rizal complained about the Spanish soldier to Captain General Primo de Rivera because he could not stand the civil guards' violent treatment of him. Captain General even admonished him, saying that Rizal should be grateful just to be alive and that the Guardia Civil had spared him rather than listening to Rizal's complaint. In 18 years old, Rizal entered his poem To the Filipino Youth in the Artistico Literario or Artistic Literary Lyceum literary contest. Rizal won first place and received a feather-shaped, gold ribbon-decorated silver pen. In his poem, Rizal pleaded with the Filipino people to rise from laziness, let their genius fly faster than the wind, and descend with art and science to break the chains that have long bound the spirit. While attending UST, Rizal displayed his writing prowess. A poetry writing and composition competition was sponsored in 1879 by the Artistic and Literary Lyceum, a group of literary artists. Rizal entered the competition and submitted a poem he had written titled A la Juventud Filipina, or meaning, in English, to the Filipino youth, as his contribution. Rizal's poem was chosen as the winner and brought him distinction in UST and from his birthplace of Calamba after the board of judges carefully studied and evaluated the entries from Spanish, Mestizo, and Filipino students who entered the competition. Despite being regarded as Tomasian, Rizal maintained a strong connection to Ateneo. He served as the Secretary of the Academy of Natural Sciences, President of the Academy of Spanish Literature, and a member of the Marian Congregation. While a medical student at UST and an ardent Ateneo de Manila alumnus, Rizal also wrote literary works. He produced the following creative works. Members of the Academy of Spanish Literature produced the play Junto al Pasig, in English, Beside the Pasig, at the Ateneo. Candido, Pascual, Satan, Leonido, first boy, second boy, and third boy are the characters in Rizal's play. In honor of the yearly feast day of the Immaculate Conception, this Rizal play in zarzuela form was presented at the Ateneo de Manila on December 8, year 1880. De Cervantes, the celebrated writer of Don Quixote, was the subject of the Council of the Gods. In year 1880, a literary competition sponsored by the Artistic Literary Lyceum, Rizal entered an allegorical drama titled El Consejo de los Dioses, in English, The Council of the Gods. Based on Greek classics, Father Rector of the Ateneo assisted Rizal in obtaining the necessary reference materials in 1880. This same society, the Artistic Literary Lyceum, sponsored another artistic competition in honor of the 264th death anniversary of Spain's most glorified man of letters, Don Miguel de Cervantes, the author of the book Don Quixote, a celebrated work produced by a Spanish writer. Other literary works in year 1880, Junto al Pasig, a zarzuela, staged by the Athenians on December 8, year 1880, on the feast day of the Immaculate Conception, patroness of the Ateneo, year 1879. Abdel Aziz E. Mahoma, a poet, declined by an Athenian, Manuel Fernandez, on December 8, 1879. In honor of the Ateneo, Rizal urged all Filipino artists to glorify the Philippines in his 1880 sonnet, A Filipinas, which was written for the Society of Sculptors album. In his 1881 poem, Al MRP, Pablo Ramon, he expressed his affection for Father Pablo Ramon, the rector of the Ateneo. A large number of authors took part in this competition and submitted their work under various aliases, including journalists, priests, scholars, and professors. El Consejo de los Dioses, an allegorical drama by Rizal, was submitted on his behalf. The Council of Gods. After a thorough examination and evaluation by a jury made up exclusively of Spanish, they gave Rizal's literary work the first prize in recognition of its excellence and caliber, regrettably, because of his status as an Indio. Rizal had the honor temporarily withdrawn Filipino. The jury insisted that Rizal's work deserved to win first place, despite all protests from Spanish-speaking people in Manila. Rizal was given a gold ring with an engraving of Cervantes' bust as a result. Second place went to a Spanish author, Spanish author came in second. Champion of Filipino students. There were many between Filipino and Spanish students. In year 1880, Rizal established compañerismo or comradeship in English, a covert organization for Filipino students at the UST. The group's members were known as Companions of Jehu. He served as the society leaders. And Galasiano Apacible, his cousin, served as secretary, student leader in the Philippines. At UST, Rizal led the Filipino students who rebelled against the haughty Spanish classmates. The Filipino students referred to Rizal's group as Castilla Bangus, while the Americans called them Indio Chongo. Angry street rumbles frequently broke out as a result of tension between the two factions. Rizal frequently took part in these student fights. He sustained a head wound during one of his fights. His cousin and genuine love, Leonor Rivera, gently cleaned and treated his wound. Rizal's unhappy days at the UST. Rizal was dissatisfied at the Dominican University because the Dominican teachers were antagonistic to him. The Spanish discriminated against the Filipino students on the basis of race. The teaching method was antiquated and authoritarian because to his professors' attitude, he was not able to receive high academic accolades. Due to the hostility of the Dominican teachers, Rizal experienced Spanish brutality. Filipino students also faced racial discrimination. Then he disapproves of the restrictive and antiquated teaching style used in UST.